Alrighty, what's up, 49er faithful? Hope everybody's doing well. Make sure you guys smash that like button for me. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. Turn that notification bell on for me so you don't miss a single Niners update. And make sure you guys follow me on all the platforms. Links gonna be down in the description. So today we're gonna talk about the 49ers needs going into the draft. I know they do have free agency before the draft. Of course, they could be filling out some of those needs prior to the NFL draft in April in Detroit. But, with it being the NFL Combine this week, I thought it'd be fun to, you know, talk about kind of the needs that the 49ers have as, they're starting the drills already at the NFL Combine today. It already started. You had the defensive line. So yeah, we're gonna get into kind of the needs now. I am gonna go with 5 needs and in order of what I think is the biggest to the smallest need. Now I know probably you aren't gonna like this number 1 need, but if I'm just kind of going in the John Lynch's head and thinking about what he think is the number 1 need, because the Niners, how they draft is usually they want to make sure they hit on all their needs, and then they'll try to go to best available player for like them. Their board's going to be different than other teams. Other teams' board's going to be different than other teams. So the 49ers go off of obviously, their own board. So I think defensive line kind of as a whole is the number 1 need for this team because you have guys, as you can kind of see here, as like Randy Gregory, Chase Young are free agents. You have Javon Kinlaw, you have Cleveland Farrell, Kevin Givens. So yeah, those are your basically defensive linemen that are your free agents, right? So with that being said, right now they only have 6 guys that are on the defensive line. You have basically Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave, Robert Beal Jr., Drake Jackson, and I guess Kalia Davis, right? So they don't have anyone across from Nick Bosa currently because, again, like I just mentioned, we just pulled up the free agent list. Chase Young's a free agent. Cleveland Farrell's a free agent. So the 49ers need to figure out, okay, what are they going to do at the defensive end spot? And I have a video that I did a few days ago kind of talking about here's some free agents I think that the 49ers should try to target, but it doesn't mean they're going to get them. They may end up striking out. They may have interest in the guy, but just the guy doesn't end up signing with the 49ers, right? So they need an edge rusher. That is the number 1 need when it comes to the defensive line, right across from Nick Bosa, because Drake Jackson, he was hurt. I think he needs more time as well. And I think he's going to be better as a rotational guy for now. So, could they go after more of a faster guy? Possibly. The guy I like, Chop Robinson from Penn State. Now, he had a great 4.4 time today. So I feel like he probably won't even be available at 31. And even if they trade up, I'm not really sure if they're going to get the chance to end up drafting him because let me pull up his time. He got a 4.49 as an edge rusher. So the 49ers, right, they created this kind of name that they use. What was it? Not see what it was called. I forgot. Maybe Lombardi tweeted it about it. 1 second. Let me just pull it up. So they end up using like a metric. Here, let me see. So anyways, it's like the get off. So yeah, so it's GTFO, right? So it's supposed to be get the F um off, but obviously like so they like that, the faster guys, and it's, I guess if I remember correctly, it's like 2 inches off of the where they're at, so that they measure that. The 49ers do, and I guess it's only a thing that the 49ers do. And so I think that probably Chop Robinson's probably gonna fit whatever that measurement is, like to know if it's good or great or not. So I think that he's a guy, but he could be going higher than we think. And again, they could end up trading up for him, but he still could go even what, top 15, top 20 possibly, because there's always surprises. um you know everybody kind of thinks, all right, this is who everybody's going to go with, but it's always very up and down, when it comes to people, teams making picks, because again, you always end up getting a surprise, shocking pick. Now the other guy, and I know the 49ers have met with him, is Darius Robinson from Missouri. That's a guy I could definitely see the Niners going after. He should be there. I'm sure they have interest in some of these other edge rushers, but they're not going to be there like uh, Jared Verse from Florida State. He's not going to be there. I know they'd love him though. Lalu Latu, the UCLA guy, he's not going to be there. Even if they trade up, I feel like they'd have to trade up pretty high. And then there's some other kind of other guys, Jonah Ellis from Utah, Austin Booker from Kansas, who I know they've met with. I mean, they have some other guys, Gabriel Murphy from UCLA, so Grayson Murphy. I'm not sure if they're brothers or not, but anyways, like they need defensive line, so the 49ers could do it in the draft. You know, there are some free agents too, like I said, that they could go after, even just for depth. Like a depth guy I would like is a guy like Marcus Davenport. Just hasn't really panned out, been kind of hurt. And so he'd be, I think, a low risk, high reward type of guy, because I think Chris Kassir could really coach him up. Because I'm gonna kind of take the benefit of doubt that the defensive line is going to play at a higher level, than they did last year. Be more consistent with whoever the new DC is, because I don't expect it to be super. I don't expect them to change too much, because I think that's what the 49ers kind of seem like they want. So I think that, yeah, there's some options there. But again, in free agency, there's some guys too that they could go after. I was saying, um, like talking about the other day, but let me see who is there. So it is, I mean, Delino Hunter would be good, but that's pretty big of a long shot, I think. Romeo Okora was one of the guys I was talking about. Maybe Yannick Ngakoue. And then where is it? I think they have him as an outside linebacker, but he's from the Jets. Oh, Bryce Huff. I think he'd be really good because he's been doing well and improving over the years. He'd be cheaper than a Brian Burns, but has a lot of upside still. Even though he was an undrafted guy, but he's been looking pretty nice on the Jets, I will say. So yeah, I think defensive line and then defensive tackle as well. They're going to need some guys, run stopping um, type of guys. And so there was a guy actually was watching some film today from Clemson that he doesn't really give a lot of doesn't really give pass rush moves. But it's Tyler Davis. It's not another guy that I know people have been talking about. I haven't watched his film quite yet, but is Ruro Ruk Ororo from Clemson too. People been talking really well about this guy. More of a second round pick, but I think he has some pass rush moves and would be pretty good guy to have underneath. But I think they are gonna have to have some veterans. I do think a guy like Kevin Givens is probably back, but I still think at the end of the day, like if the Broncos do end up releasing this guy, it's been kind of rumored out there, but it hasn't happened yet. But a guy like DJ Jones, bring him back. He was outstanding with the 49ers, was really good with the rotation as a rotational guy with the 49ers. So if he becomes a free agent, bring him back. That could be a possibility. Let's see. I haven't really looked at defensive tackle free agents, but let's see. Obviously, you have Chris Jones. Kinlaw is also, of course, a free agent that I was kind of talked about. What's going to happen with him? How much interest is he going to get from the league because he's been hurt mostly? Unfortunately, this was kind of his first year where he was able to stay healthy. So, what does the league kind of think about that? So, I wouldn't mind if they brought him back, but I'm not really sure who else. You know, could they bring back a guy like Hassan Ridgeway? Possibly. Um, Linville Joseph, maybe. But he's kind of older, 35. Maurice Hurst, I kind of doubt they'd give. Derek Nottie from Kansas City, that could be actually an interesting name. Um, Maybe a guy like Neville Gallimore from the Dallas Cowboys. Ross Black now from Tennessee. Those are some younger guys that haven't really panned out, so the Niners could try to sign one of those guys. But I think that in terms of the draft again, Rook Ororo, and then Tyler Davis, Miles Murphy's a good one too. Way later, Brian Murphy. I don't expect him to be when the 49ers pick, and I would be very shocked if they took a defensive tackle in the first round. But that definitely is a need for the 49ers. So let's get to the next need. A lot of people have been talking about this one, and I definitely agree. Offensive line. Now, the 49ers do want to bring back John Feliciano. John Lynch had talked about that on Tuesday when he, I guess, had another kind of media session that wasn't recorded. It's like after the part that we were able to see, I think, it seemed like he was still talking to some of the like more Niners just beat reporters, because from what I hear is like some people from other teams will also come and watch over and stuff. So I think this is just like specifically with the Niners right after like we had our beat reporters, like David Lombardi and Matt Mayoko and guys like that. So in terms of the offensive line, right, you have Trent Williams, you have obviously Aaron Banks on the left side. Center, you have Jake Brendel. Now, he does have an out in his contract. I don't think the Niners get out of it, because I think if they were trying to think about that or thought about, oh, maybe he's going to retire, like, I feel like they would know, and they probably might have drafted a guy higher last year. Um, so I don't think they're going to end up doing that. I mean, maybe they shock us, but Kyle Shanahan likes to have guys that he can at least mold and has experience, because center is a tough job with the Niners. You got to be able to call the protections and kind of like the quarterback of the offensive line. So looking at the offensive line depth chart, um, so you have your starters, right? Again, Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, John Feliciano, free agent. Then you have Spencer Burford there as well. Colton McKivitz, Matt Pryor, free agent. You have Nick Zakel coming back from his surgery. Ben Barch going to be a free agent. I don't think he'll be back. So Jalen Moore. He's a guy that they've tried at guard. They've tried at tackle. they're not going to try him at center. I mean, he also just hasn't panned out at any of those spots. So I think he's on his last leg in terms of being on this team. So I think the 49ers definitely need to go out there. They are going to bring back John Feliciano, hopefully, because like I just mentioned, they're hoping to bring him back, which wouldn't mind, but I still think they should spend like a second round pick. This is what I would do, because what they did was with Daniel Brunskill, right? He was there, and then they had Laken Thompson, right? And then they knew they were gonna lose him because he was gonna get a lot of money, which he did with the Jets. So then they like, all right, Banks is ready. He's in the shape that they need him to be because he wasn't the weight and like the frame that the Niners needed. What they like for their offensive linemen typically. So I think they should draft a rookie, and Spencer Burford could be more of a depth piece. I think at this point, and basically get that rookie in the first or second round, and then have him sit behind John Feliciano if you're able to bring Feliciano back, and then have him, learn. And if not, then just put in the rookie. If you're not able to bring Feliciano back. So I think that's what the 49ers should do. Right tackle, Colton McKivitz. Again, Jalen Moore, they've kind of tried him there, just hasn't worked out. So they don't really have anyone else at tackle because Nick Zakel's more of a center guard guy. Burford, I don't know if they're going to really make him play tackle. I know he played tackle in college, but, I think there's a reason they changed him inside. And then I guess Matt Pryor again's a free agent. So I think that Colton McKivitz would be good for that swing tackle role. And then spend that first round pick on an offensive tackle. There should be, you're not going to be able to get one of those top guys like a Joe Alt or Talisi Fuaga or Fashanu from Penn State. You could maybe get J.C. Latham possibly from Alabama, but then you have Marius Mims from Georgia, who's a little bit kind of raw, didn't play as many games, but has the upside. Troy Fantunu from Washington. I think that's a possibility. Maybe Graham Barton from Duke has the capability of playing inside and outside. Can really play all positions at the offensive line, especially center, left guard, or sorry, right guard, and then right tackle. And then Tyler Guyton, Jordan Morgan from Arizona, Kingsley Sunomatuli from BYU. So there's some guys that the 49ers can get at tackle. So I think, with the tackle class, it's pretty deep. But I think they still might have to trade in for interior. I think interior, like I got like Cooper Beebe they could take later on. Christian Haynes, possibly going to be there in the second round. Christian Meogany from Boston College. So I think they should take tackle in the first round because I think there would be some guys they can take in the second round at guard, but they should go tackle in the first round. And then they just need overall depth. So if they can sign another guy in free agency and maybe, they have 11 draft picks. Just, get another guy late in the draft. I really think the Niners should spend 3 draft picks out of the 11 to, fill that offensive lineup with some depth as well. Get depth like you have on the defensive line, usually. I know this last year the depth was lacking, but like the years before, crazy amount of depth, rotational guys. Get the depth on the offensive line, That's why the Niners lost the Super Bowl. Trenches, man. They got beat in the trenches, on the offensive line. Just free running, letting a guy like Chris Jones through. So Niners need to please invest on the offensive line. Please, John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. All right, next up on the board is returner, with Ray McLeod being a free agent, right? They don't have one. Danny Gray, I kind of think he's done, and they haven't played him there. I don't think they are. Brandon Ayuk, he's shown it in Arizona State when they drafted him. I don't think they're gonna play him there. Debo, I wouldn't want to put him back there constantly, just because he does get hurt. So they need to go get a guy. This, I don't think they fell through the draft. A guy that I've brought him up, but name a few times, is a guy like Jamal Agnew from the Jets. Guy that has some speed. Um, verse has that kind of burst. I think the 49ers, if they can try to go get him, but they're gonna have to do this in free agency, and I don't think they need a. Didn't go get Ray McLeod, to be honest. Like, don't bring him back. I'm sorry, man. Just please. So let's see. Like, I have to kind of go to the receivers. Is there anybody else? Cedric Wilson, I think, guy could return. But Jamal Agnew's kind of my top guy. Jakeem Grant, possibly, but I don't know how much I really feel about him. So yeah, I think honestly that would be my top guy, Jamal Agnew. So they really need to get a return man there. What's up, Ty Austin? Appreciate for being in here. Make sure to smash that like button. Appreciate you subscribe if you haven't. So yeah, I think that returner, to me, Jamal Agnew would be pretty awesome. But like I mentioned, there's some guys that I think they could go out, but they need to move on from Ray, who again's a free agent. So there's not gonna be no, losing of cap space. There's gonna be no dead cap. So, yeah. All right. Next up on the fourth need for the San Francisco 49ers is cornerback. This is a position that you have to draft, I feel like, every year. What's up? I thought I said a long time ago. I'm definitely appreciate you. Yeah, I ended up restarting, just because like that other, yeah, I just kind of wasn't felt like that. But appreciate that, man. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, cornerback, right? Cornerback again could be a position they kind of need a draft every year. So you have Travarius Ward, Deommodore Lenoir, Samuel Womack, Darrell Luter Jr. Thinking if I'm forgetting anyone else. Oh, Ambry Thomas. Let's see. Yeah, so that's basically it. So, you love Travarius Ward, I think. Lenoir, people say he could be in the slot, which I think he's done a good part, done well enough it, but I personally like him outside. But if the 49ers put him in the slot, I'm fine with that. So then they need a second cornerback because Ambry Thomas is just super inconsistent. So I think he's a good depth guy. Darrell Luter Jr., we have no idea what's with him. I think he's a depth guy. So, in free agency, I don't know, are they the question is, okay, if they put Lenoir on the outside, then they need a slot guy, which I would love Kenny Moore from the Colts. A little bit bigger of a frame, has the speed, probably one of the best slot corners out there in the free market. Obviously they ended up releasing Isaiah Oliver, just didn't work out. Off the team base, yeah, after week two, just like just not in the rotation, didn't really do much. Was a weird signing guy that Steve Wilkes wanted anyways. Just didn't work out. So again, depends. What do they what do they want to do with Dion, inside or outside? Now, if they put him in the inside, then they're gonna have to get another guy on the outside. I still think. So let's see, free wise. I know everybody's talking about L'Jarius Sneed, who'd be a draft pick, but he's on the tag. You'd have to, I think I don't know if I would really, you know, um, like, I don't know if I'd be putting him anywhere else, but let's see. Kindle full. Yeah, I don't think they'd be able to go and get him. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry. Um, just don't really like the guys in free agency because you have Cheetabo, Uzi, Jeff Okuda, meh. Stephon Gilmore going up there in age, almost 35. Kendall Fuller. Now that could be an interesting name, possibly. Um, let's see. CJ Henderson. Could be a depth guy, maybe, but yeah, you know. So I think they need to draft a guy. Anyways, today they ended up meeting with Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama, who should be there at 31. They might have to trade up like into the 20s, but if they really wanted to go get a corner with the first pick, he could definitely be a guy. TJ Tampa from Iowa State. I think he fits the mold. He's lengthy, has that Niners type of frame, has played a little bit in the slot, but mostly in the outside. So he'd be more in the outside. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. I think he literally fits the 49ers mold right there, again, with the length. And, I'm sure Purdy probably gave him a little bit of a word with him, since he's from Iowa State. So I think that's a guy. Definitely not going to be able to get Cooper DeJean from Iowa. He'll be gone. Nate Wiggins from Clemson. He'll be gone. Quinyon Mitchell probably gone. Yeah, so I think those are kind of the guys I'd go after. I know they've also met with some of those other guys. I think Dory Phillips could be a later guy. There's another guy that they ended up meeting with. Okay, it was not just Sean. It's the guy from Auburn. Oh, DJ James from Auburn. Okay. And let's see. He's 6'1", 164. So he's a little bit lighter part, so you might have to build a game. But yeah. Tylson, we need slot corner more than outside. I love Demo on the outside. Yeah, I do too. It's just, kind of, it'd be good to go through the different, scenarios if the 49ers do decide to move him on the inside. And, then they'd have to, of course, like I said, find an outside guy. But I'm like with you, man. I like him on the outside as well. I am in agreement on that one for sure. Alrighty, so rounding up the last position, and I'm going safety here. And the reason for this is Tashawn Gibson's a free agent. All right, he's coming up on age 34, and you kind of saw that he slowed down a little bit. And last year he had Talanoa Hufanga, whom he was saying made him kind of feel a bit younger, and unfortunately Hufanga went down with the ACL. So then you had rookie Jair Brown step in, who did an absolutely great job, honestly. So I think that the 49ers, again, I think Tashawn Gibson ends up retiring. So then I think that right now you basically have Jair Brown, Talanoa Hufanga. Again, return, coming from an ACL, so still got to be a little bit cautious there. And then George Odom, who's really just a special teams guy, so you need another guy. You're gonna have to sign a guy for depth, And we saw what happened this year. You had to sign Logan Ryan, who was on a cruise ship. Um, and then you had Eric Harris that you also ended up signing, who I know they signed him to a futures contract, but a guy that actually could be interesting is Taylor Hawkins, the undrafted guy from, what was it, last year or the year before, from, what was it, San Diego State, I believe. Could he be something? He hasn't had a lot of playing time because he's been on the practice squad, but he showed some things, week 18. Hence, I know they were against backups, but, I would still think the 49ers would want to go out there and sign um, you know, guy that is kind of a veteran and a guy that, I don't know how much, because, like, they would think about getting him because he's a guy that I think would probably want to start. I'm not sure if he's a depth guy or a starter for the Saints, but he just got let go of today. Marcus May, the former Jet. Could they go after him? Let's see. Darnell Savage, Mike Edwards, Jalen Mills, maybe him. He's 30. Could they go after him? He can even play a corner at times. Um, Chuck Clark, maybe. Um, Honestly, I'm not really sure who they'd go after in, free agency, but okay, this is a guy that I forgot I've been talking about, like a guy like Taylor Rapp, maybe. Um, I think that they need a guy that's a little bit of a veteran. He's still young, but I think he can do it. Maybe Deshaun Elliott. I mean, they're both 26. It's good, John Lejeune. I appreciate you for popping in here. Should have smashed that like button. So yeah, I think I don't know. I'm not really too much of a fan of any of those corners in free agency, but I think that would be kind of the way you have to go because you do need still that veteran kind of guy. Um, you know that actually plays the position and isn't just doing kind of special teams. That way you're hopefully don't have to go out there and get a guy that's on another cruise ship or whatever. Guy they see off the street. So. But a guy I like is like a guy like Kalen Bullock from USC, Jaden Hicks from Washington State, Javon Bullard from Georgia. Those are more like second round guys. Maybe Tyreek Smith from Georgia. I know they met with Malik Mustafa from Wake Forest today. So yeah, could they go in the draft too and just go all young? We'll see, but those are the 5 kind of needs I see the 49ers having to prioritize this offseason. Just to kind of round out again, defensive line need an edge across from Nick Bosa, and just overall defensive line depth. Offensive line can upgrade at right guard and right tackle, and depth. Return man, Ray McLeod's a free agent. I think they're going to want a veteran right there. So a guy like I was talking about, Jamal Agnew from the Jags would be an awesome cornerback. Again, we kind of talked about this, right? Depending on what they do with outside corner too, do they team more inside or outside? They still need slot or even just another outside guy too, and then safety. So there you go, guys. Those are the needs for the 49ers. Appreciate you guys for popping in here, Ty and John. You guys smash that like button. Anybody else that watches this later on, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know your guys' thoughts down below. What are the draft needs in your opinion for the San Francisco 49ers? Peace out, everybody. Have a great night and a weekend. Actually, I forgot to mention this, but I am going to be traveling, so might not be able to really make videos. So go make sure you check out the community tab, because if there is breaking news, I'm sure we'll hear on the defensive coordinator. I'll at least try to post it there. If I do have a chance to go live, at least I'll just kind of give a quick reaction, and then when I do end up getting back, we'll have to kind of go more in depth on it. But yeah, everybody have a good one. Everybody stay safe. Everybody have a great weekend. And then Friday tomorrow. Peace out, everybody.